Hello everyone, welcome to another sweet vintage cube draft with Benny Hills. I'm in a different room today than normal, so maybe that'll make the sound quality a bit better. Still don't have the mic yet, but hopefully sound won't bounce off the walls and stuff. And I'm on a little 3 trophy run right now, so hopefully we can keep that going. The last one was with an Esper mid-range deck. I hadn't really drafted something like that before, but it had like Wall of Omen, Thraben Inspector, Blade Splicer, a lot of sort of cheap semi-value creatures, Baleful Strix, and then Resto and Yorion to sort of get mega value off of them, and then also Consecrated Sphinx, Sun Titan, and then a nice Planeswalker suite of both the fairies, Big Elspeth, and Kaya. So it's pretty sweet. I honestly didn't think it was great, but it played out very, very well. Just I was able to pressure Planeswalkers really well with cheap creatures and still have a great card advantage engine, and Parallax Wave was amazing. There's one game where I just cleaned up 5 tokens from Vivian, 5/3/3s, and just saved my Elspeth and was very good. So, yeah, we'll see if we can make it 4 in a row here. That'd be pretty sick. So, one general cube theory thing I'll mention right now is it's good to know some things get better the more of them you have, and some things get worse. So, for example, removal spells get much worse the more you have. The first removal spell is pretty good. I'll usually main deck one solid creature removal spell, but the fourth is not good. And so that's an example of one where you really want to start prioritizing them much less highly when you have them. And Planeswalkers are a good example of something that become better. Like, I mean, one Planeswalker is fine on its own, but if you have multiple Planeswalkers on the board at the same time, it makes each one much harder to kill, especially if they each have sort of marginal ways to protect themselves. So whenever you're drafting a deck that has a lot of a certain effect, it's good to sort of try and realize if that's one that's good or bad. Ramp is another one that's basically just good the more you get. Like if you have one ramp spell, you can't really build your plan around having access to cheap ramp. But if you have 8 ramp spells, then especially if they're all 1 mana, then now 3 drops become very good because you can sort of count on having a 1 mana ramp spell and then play 3 drop on turn 2, and you can sort of build your plan around that. So sort of good to know which things have increasing returns and which things have decreasing returns. And regardless of the returns, we're taking a Jace here. Love this card. It just first of all, it is the only blue card in the pack, so big points for that. I mean, someone will take the Flooded Strand if they're in blue, probably, but it's super, super good. None of the other pack is that great. I mean, Recurring Nightmare, Flooded Strand are solid, but Jace is just awesome. So we'll take that and see if we can build around that a bit. Oh man, okay. So great pack here. There's Time Twister is a good card. It is technically power 9, but we're not taking it here. Like Jace is basically a Time Twister, but it's one-sided. Shinobi is awesome. It's generally not the best in Jace decks because I mean you can play a lot of creatures in Jace decks, but in general it doesn't lend itself to a lot of creatures. Um, Splinter Twin is always a good option. It's just a very powerful combo. I love Tundra. Blue White is awesome, and we did just pass a Flooded Strand, but I think Blue White is great, and it's specifically good with Jace, especially like Terminus is a card that's basically unplayable normally, but it's pretty good if you have Jace, and then Snapcaster is just a great value creature that is good with cheap instants and sorceries that you want in your Jace decks to protect them. I think it's between Snap and Jace here, or Snap and Tundra, and I'm gonna go with a Snapcaster. This sort of cuts blue a bit. I mean, it is a bummer not to get the Tundra for sure. I would love to be able to do that, but we don't want to sort of shoehole ourselves into blue-white. There's other good combinations that and we want to leave ourselves open to those, so we'll take the Snap. All right, pretty easy Narset here. This is just a very good card. If we were in blue-white and we just taken Tundra, Stoneforge and Disenchant are both reasonable. This card is just busted in some decks, as one of my videos, I forget which one, the Blue-Red Artifact decks had just an unbelievable couple games with Mishra's Workshop. So definitely high upside there, but we'll definitely take the Narset here. The only normal blue card, this is not really good in base blue decks, or I mean just or in general, but when you do play it, it's normally in like green decks. But Narset's sweet. We can sort of try and prioritize stuff like Time Twister a bit more highly now. Dak Faden would be really good. If you have this in play, you can plus Dak, and they discard 2 cards, so it becomes card advantage, and only draw 1. So we'll take that. Ooh, okay. Oh, not that. There's a Zealous Conscript, so if we take the Splinter Twin, we could go that route, but I love its fairy. I'm a little bit sad not to have the Tundra if we're taking this, but even though if we don't have the Tundra, maybe we can pick up a Hallowed Fountain, or like if we're heavy blue, we can still make a solidly functional mana base even without any blue-white fetchable lands. So We'll go with this. I love this card. Again, at the beginning of the video, I talked about how Planeswalkers are good in multiples, and now we have a bunch. Like, imagine you just get it to Fairy down, plus it. They, like, hit it for 1 or whatever. Next turn, Jace. Bounce 2 things. Now their whole board is gone. You just drew a card with Teferi. Then they have to spend their whole turn, like, redeveloping their board. You untap, and you can just, like, Jace, Brainstorm, find a sweeper, use Teferi. Like, they just snowball very, very well. And it's just broken on its own, too, even without any other Planeswalkers. So, very happy to get this. Red does look open, but I still would rather take the Fairy over the Conscripts here. Okay, this pack is not great. If we were in black, I would definitely like a Languish. We do want a sweeper. Parallax Wave is not the best sweeper for this sort of deck. It's good with Snapcaster, but it's not the best overall. I think I'm leaning towards a Spellseeker, actually. It doesn't get anything right now, but Spellseeker and Snapcaster are good with the same sorts of cards. Like, these both want you to be playing cheap, ideally interactive spells, so we can pick up like a Swords to Plowshares and, you know, Spellseeker for the swords, and then flash it back with Snapcaster. Plus, it's a shuffle effect for Jace, and just like a cheap body that can chump block and keep your Planeswalkers alive. I think that, you know, 1/1s and 0/2s and sort of random bodies become much better also when you have a lot of Planeswalkers, so we'll take that. Keep our eye out for some cantrips. Or Swords to Plowshares, speak of the devil. That's a great pickup. Elspeth Conquers Death is sweet, and it probably won't wheel actually, but it would be awesome if it did. But we'll go with the sword, just the cheap card, and just super, super good with basically all of our cards. Like right now, what this deck is, its plan is to play like cheap instants and sorceries and get value off of Snapcaster and Spellseeker, and then use those bodies after you've gotten value off of them to protect our Planeswalkers. So this just fits super well with all parts of that plan. Yeah, that's a really great pickup. So, Probe is nice with Snapcaster. You can just turn it into a 2-mana cantrip, basically. Also good with Narset just to have like another hit. There's also Arid Mesa, which is a shuffle effect for Jace, and if we had Tundra, we would definitely be taking this. But we just passed a Tundra, and we likely will not get it back. And, I mean, we might get like a Steam Vents or a Hallowed Fountain or something that could turn this into a duel, but I think we should actually just take the Seachrome Coast. Guaranteed to be a dual land for us, and, I mean, it's awkward with like 4-drops, but it also just like, we don't want people to see super late Seachrome Coast and think Blue Eyes is open, so we'll go with this. Okay. There's a Terminus. Even with just a Jace, it's not great, but if we also pick a Brainstorm, it can start to look very appealing. So we'll take that. There's not much else we really want. This is a pretty bad signet for us. Wear Terror is fine if we have red, but we probably won't have red. I actually think just a 1-mana 2/1 is a decent sideboard card against like Goblin Guide decks, but definitely a Terminus here, and hopefully we can pick up a Brainstorm to really maximize it. Okay, I do like Kitchen Finks pretty well in these sorts of decks. It's just like a great roadblock against aggro and protects Planeswalkers well. But I like Gideon a lot. There's also Soulfire Grandmaster, which is, I mean, it's good with swords and it's obviously amazing with Time Walk, but we don't have a Time Walk right now, and Planeswalkers are good when you have Planeswalkers. This one in particular is good because if you have Planeswalkers that can draw cards and you just play Gideon, this is so hard to kill on the ground, and it protects all of your other Planeswalkers very well. So this definitely plays very well with what we're trying to do here. Alright, now this stuff looks great. This card is actually good in some control decks. If you don't have a lot of Planeswalkers, the underrated Disability can just rock a lot of decks. Just a repeatable removal spell, but it's not amazing. None of these cards really are. I think we're going to take... I actually think we're going to take the sword. None of these cards we're hoping to play. Emiria Angel isn't really what this deck wants. Okay, yeah. I was going to say, we'll take this in case we get the Stoneforge. I can imagine a world where we have a Stoneforge package if we pick up a Batterskull. Nahiri's also pretty solid if we could do a red splash, but like we don't have a ton of fixing, and we do have a ton of great cards, so we're hoping to be just straight blue-white. Alright, another sword. We'll take that in case we do end up with a package here. This sort of plays that as well. So, these 7 cards are all amazing. Like, very, very happy to be playing all of those. And then we have other cards that we could play. Again, when I'm during the drafting process, I put cards in the main deck that I am, like, 100% sure I want to play. And then there's a lot of cards that I put in the sideboard that, like, are reasonable to play. It's not like we only have 7 playables here. Like, we definitely could bring in this Terminus, and we have 3 creatures, and Gideon sort of, so, like, a Stoneforge package would be reasonable, but This is where we are right now. Oh, wow. Okay, so I've talked a bit in previous videos about how this is the worst Mox, and this is like the best card that's not power. Not, maybe not literally, but very, very up there. So I honestly don't even think this is particularly close. Like, we're definitely taking Fractured Identity. Weird as that may seem. If this was an on-color Mox, that would be close. I would still consider taking a Fractured Identity, but then probably go with the Mox. But um, yeah, I actually think we are just gonna take the Fractured Identity here. Pretty funny to open power and not pick it, but this card is just like not enough can be said about how amazing this card is. It's in our colors too. Like, yeah, this is just awesome. And there's no way it wheels, especially with someone else having taken the Tundra. So, sorry, Mox. Can't. It's like weird to not take you, but yeah, we're taking Fracture Identity. It's yeah. There will probably be some people in the comments that get mad. Like power is power, and our deck is like a little bit slow, but it actually has a decently low curve for this sort of deck. Okay, so I don't think Treasure Cruise is where we want to be right now. Like we have a lot of Planeswalkers. That's our main card advantage engine. Um, it's really between the Simic Signet and a Daze, and that is a close call. I would like to play Signet in this deck for sure. Azoria Signet we would take over the Daze, I think, but I actually think I want to go with the Daze here. It's like a piece of cheap interaction. We don't have any counter spells right now, and um, a 2 minute interactive spell is more important when you have a bunch of cheap planeswalkers. Like Daze into one of these planeswalkers is significantly better than like nothing into these planeswalkers. Plus, when you have stuff like Narset and Jace that draw cards immediately, I like to have free counter magic because like if you just Jace Brainstorm hit Daze and then Daze their play and then untap with Jace, that's just really good. So again, like it's a little sad not to have the mana. I wouldn't fault someone for just taking Mox into Simic Signet, but I think this is what we're gonna go with. Okay, Brainstorm is sweet. Maybe the Terminus is looking awesome now. Actually, we have 2 ways to set it up for cheap, and we have a spell seeker to find the Brainstorm. So that's sort of 3 ways if we have this stuck in our hand, and it's also not uncastable just on its own. So we'll take this, and yeah, hopefully we can pick up a couple shuffle effects or something like that. But solid pickup, and no other real considerations. Thing in the Ice is maybe an okay sideboard card, but we don't have Arcum's Astrolabe, so we cannot do Wrenn and 6. Ooh, wow. Oh, dang. Okay, so 3 incredible cards here. Shelldock Isle, Karakas, and Bribery are all just cream of the crop. I would take them over each of them over most things here. Oh man, I think I'm gonna narrow out Karakas, even though I do love it, just because I think Shelldock is a slightly better land, especially in a base blue deck, especially base blue deck that has card draw. Um, Shelldock or Bribery then? This card is just so busted, but this is so free. Like, this costs a lot of mana and has like there is a bad case scenario where it's not amazing. Whereas Shelldock is just like free card advantage that's cheap. Yeah, I think we're gonna go with Shelldock, even though I do love Bribery, especially since we already have Brainstorm and Jace to set it up, so we can put like good stuff under it. Instant speed Fractured Identity seems pretty busted. Okay, we'll keep the Planeswalker train going. This is turning into a really sweet deck. Love this card a lot. Very, very good at protecting itself and protecting other Planeswalkers. Another solid non-creature to find with Narset. And in the world where we do end up with a Stoneforge package, it makes a bunch of bodies to carry the swords. So, pretty happy about that. I would love a Windswept Heath if we had the fixing for it. Like if we had that Tundra, I think I would probably take it over Wrath of God. But since we don't, and since this is just a really important effect to have, we will take this. This is a especially good Wrath of God deck because we have so many Planeswalkers. Like in general, we have a lot of card draw, so like in the matchups where this isn't great, having one dead card won't be too backbreaking. And it's just super good at protecting our massive Planeswalker suite. We already have 5. And yeah, a second sweeper is good. Honestly, there's some matchups where we even want 3 sweepers, so very happy with that. Alright. So the biggest thing the deck is missing right now by far is counter magic. We have an awesome Planeswalker suite, great creature removal with a sword and 2 sweepers, so that's what we're going to prioritize here. Torrential Gearhulk is not looking great for us right now. I mean, it can flash back these cards, but you really want to be flashing back like Fact or Fiction, Cryptic Command, Mystic Confluence. But the only other card that's in our colors is Student of Warfare, and this is not looking like a deck that will splash. This isn't really very good for us, even in like those matchups. So we'll take this and probably not play it, but hopefully we can pick up a lot of sweet instants and sorcerers to flash back with it. Moat or Elesh Norn. We have a couple win conditions through Moat, so that's solid. Like, we can Jace ultimate or Elspeth ultimate to win, even if we can't attack on the ground. But I do think Elesh Norn, it's impressed me. In my last draft, it was huge with that Esper midrange deck, and it's very good with Elspeth. They're both cards that we're going to start with in the board, but I think with already having, I think we're going to go with Elesh Norn. I like this card slightly more than Moat. So, Lyra is pretty not impressive. I mean, there's some matchups where we would want this card, but I think I would rather one of these. I do like Tithe quite a bit, but we already have Daze. Yeah, it's close. This is also very good with equipment if we do end up with a Stoneforge package. I think we're going to go with a Looter. In general, it's good to have, well, it's actually, no, never mind. We are going to take the Tithe. I do like Looter quite a bit, but like I really want to have an interactive spell in the first 2 turns, and this just makes it easier to make that happen. Could this be a Yorion deck? Yorion is generally solid with Planeswalkers. I'm not a huge fan of either of these 2 cards, although if we had taken the Lyra, then we could go Angel Tribal, but I think I am going to take the Yorion. This is another card that, like, isn't in the best version of this deck, but if we do end up with Stoneforge, then I could imagine it being good. We'll take a Razorverge Thicket just in case we pick up an Oko. Can't really think of many other green cards we would want to splash, but that's one we would definitely be willing to go out of our way for a bit. We'll take this. I really don't think we'll play any of these, but if we ever play against a Show and Tell Eureka deck, then this is a great way to deal with whatever they put into play. Brightling I'm actually okay with. I still think it's ideally not going to make the deck, but it's definitely fine. Same with Brimaz. These are all like fine cards that we could play, especially well, we could Eureka our own Ashen Rider. But like there is a world where we just bring in like Brightling, Stoneforge, Brimaz, and like a sword or 2, and just like have that as another angle of attack. I think that's a bit worse than our current plan, so we'll start with this, but it's a nice option to have. So I love Scarab God, but I don't think we want to be splashing here, especially since our mana is looking not great. Ponder is very good, especially if we have like Terminus or things to set up with the top of our library. Shelldock is another one. It's also a cantrip to hit with Spellseeker, but Treachery is super good. There's also Ancient Tomb, which is nice, but I think we're not going to take it here because like we only have 14 cards that we definitely want to play. So I don't think we're going to be in a position where there's like cards that are really, really hard to cut, but we need to do it. Also, Sun Titan is actually pretty good in this deck with Narset and Teferi to get back. But I think I'm going to go with the Treachery still. Like we do have Fractured Identity, but we don't have any like sort of mind control effects other than that. And this is ideally hitting a Planeswalker or something like that. And this is just a super, super busted card. So a lot of good cards here, and it's definitely a bummer in particular not to get this Ponder, but we'll take the Treachery and hope to wheel the Sun Titan. Okay. There's Sower if we want more creature stealing stuff. And that is nice with again with a Stoneforge plan if we do end up with that. There's Winds of Abandon, which we do have a decent amount of creature removal, but I like that this can be a board sweeper that you can fetch with Spellseeker. That's a pretty nice interaction. There's also, I mean, Expansion Explosion is fine. Field of Ruin, if we had like better fixing and more like slam dunk playables, this is reasonable as a way to deal with like Madlands or problematic stuff like Library of Alexandria. And there's also Relic. I kind of like taking the Relic actually because we don't have many ways to use our graveyard other than this one Snapcaster Mage, and it's occasionally amazing and just like the floor is just a solid cantrip. So I think we're going to take this, given that we already have a Treachery, and try and wheel the Winds of Abandon. I like this card quite a bit, especially in more controlling decks. So a lot of reasonable options here. There's a Signet that's half on color, which would be great. We do have a lot of sort of 4, 5, 6 mana cards. And then all three of these blue cards are pretty good too. We don't like. I mean, we did just take a relic, but we're not getting Treasure Cruise, so that would make Dig reasonable. Time Warp is also at its best in a deck with a lot of Planeswalkers, and we do have a ton of Planeswalkers. And then Shark Typhoon is just like a nice card. Like it makes a uncounterable instant speed blocker that can then pressure Planeswalkers. Um, I think I'm gonna narrow it down to Signet or Time Warp. I guess the question is if we think any of these three blue cards will wheel. Because if we take Signet, it definitely increases the chance that one of these will wheel. And like they're all good enough that I'm fine with getting any of them. I do love Time Walk in this sort of deck, but I think we should go with the Signet. We have no other ramp, and we have a lot of Planeswalkers, so just playing them ahead of schedule is pretty good. Yeah, I really do hope we can wheel one of those three blue cards, though. All right, there's Thraben Inspector and Land Tax here. I do like Land Tax quite a bit out of the board, but I think I'm going to go with the Thraben Inspector because, again, I mean, I talked about it a lot and we might not even end up with it, but it's great with Stoneforge, and it's great with Planeswalkers. It's just like a cheap body. They can block well, and like protect your Planeswalkers. So we'll go with the Thraben Inspector. This is close between the Jace and the Council's Judgment. I do like Jace, and we have a lot of card draw, but not a ton. I mean, Narset, Spellseeker, sort of, like Jace. We don't have a ton of card draw, yeah. And we do want to have Planeswalkers, but Council Judgment is... We don't have any good answers to Planeswalkers currently, except for Fractured Identity, and we don't have, like, real counter magic, so we can't prevent it on the stack either. I think the the Council Judgment is going to be a bit better for us, even though I definitely would love to play this Jace. It's just so versatile, and it can deal with so many different things. Okay, very happy to take an Impulse. There's also Boros Signet, and if we hadn't taken the Orzhov Signet, I think we might want to go with that, but I love Impulse, and it's just great for finding like our bombs and cheap play, and you already have one Signet, so we'll take an Impulse. We would love it if this wheeled. I can't really imagine that happening, but maybe it's possible. Okay, Gideon is a pretty great late pick up here. Another Planeswalker to add to our suite, another win condition. Yeah, it's just pretty much exactly what we would want. All right. So, I don't think we want Sacred Foundry at this point. We're like 100% to be just blue-white. Hangerback is a decent blocker in some matchups, but I think I'm going to go with the Containment Priest. It's not a card we want in the main deck, but it's amazing in some matchups, specifically Reanimator and Green, where they're playing like Green Sun Zenith and Tooth and Nail maybe, and stuff like that, Vivian. So we'll take this for the board. Nice. I think we actually are playing the Sun Titan. Yeah, super good with our cheap Planeswalkers. So we'll take this. Nice. Winds of Abandon is a good wheel. We'll take that. We have a great creature removal suite. Again, we have weak counter magic, so we'll be in a rough spot against like combo, but I really like our position against most other stuff. Hallowed Spear Keeper is not great for this sort of deck, so we're going to take this, and we're not going to main deck it, but if we happen to play Reanimator, we'll play this basically just to get Relic, because without counter magic, Graveyard Hate is going to be very important in that matchup, which we could end up playing. Oh, man. Oh, wait, actually, that pack was the pack where we wanted to wheel blue cards, so they did all get taken. That's a bummer, but not the end of the world. Alright, none of these are in our colors. Don't really expect to get any more cards, but we already have a good deck, so that's fine. Oh, yeah, we will take this, I guess. Alright, so we have one dual land and a Shelldock Isle, so not amazing mana. This could be an 18 land deck, but I think it's fine to do 17. We have a decent number of cheap cards, including some cheap cantrips. So, yeah, I think this seems reasonable. And a great Narset deck, we only have 4 creatures, so this is very likely to hit. Yeah, I like this deck a lot. Cards we could play are Elesh Norn and Brightling. Those are probably the best two. But yeah, I think we'll just run this. And then, funnily enough, we actually could maybe in some matchups side into a Yorion deck. So if we bring in these, that's 11 spells. So that would put us up to 34 spells and then 26 lands. That actually seems potentially reasonable. Also Enlightened Tutor maybe. So we're not going to start that way. But if we play against a really grindy deck where like they're slow and just having an extra free spell is good, that could be a real plan. But we're not going to start that way. So we will start with this. We have a decent amount of creature removal, so it would be reasonable to cut something. We have 4 cards that are just creature removal and then also treachery, so sort of 5. But oh, and yeah, I mean swords wins 2 sweepers. That is a lot, but I think that's fine. Yeah, with all our planeswalkers, we can outgrind most non-creature decks other than combo decks, and we don't really have great tools against combo. So we'll. And I think this mana also looks solid. This is 8 blue and 9 and 10 white, and we definitely are heavier white. Actually, no, we'll even it out a bit. I think we'll just because even though we do have a little bit heavier white, like it would be really nice to be able to play like Daze or Impulse on turn 2 and Narset on 3. So we'll do this. All right, I would give this deck a 8. It doesn't have any power and it doesn't have any counter magic. And those are 2 fairly significant losses, but I think it has a lot of cheap interaction other than like counter magic. I mean, Daze and Tithe are sort of counter magic, and then a great Planeswalker suite. That's really the highlight of this deck. 6 Planeswalkers in our colors that are all good, and then Fractured Identity is just super good. I would love to have a Counterspell and a Teferi. I think if we could add just those 2 cards and cut like Winds of Abandon and Sun Titan or something, then that would make this deck perfect, but still good. And this hand is excellent. We only have 1 white, but that's fine. Probably only double white for a while, and then Mana Tithe in your opener is the best card you could possibly have. Just answers pretty much anything in the first couple turns, so we'll lead on Plains to hold up Tithe, play turn 2 Shelldock, and then turn 3 Teferi. And Teferi, having played a piece of interaction, is very likely to be able to survive and draw a card and start generating value pretty quickly. Hopefully they don't have a 1-drop. Nice. Okay, so we can tie their first play. That's not the best draw. It's pretty bad early on to give them a land, so that's not great, but it's fine. And it is it's a card that is a lot better. Definitely not going to brainstorm here. They just wasted their shuffle effect. If they don't have any blue sources, this is correct. But if they have a blue, they definitely should have just waited, played their island, then brainstormed and shuffled away the bad ones. But this is a card that becomes a lot better when it becomes instant, which it will be from Teferi. So that's nice. All right, there's the second white. Hopefully we stop drawing lands now. Wow. Okay, that's some gas. We really don't know our opponent's deck that well, so it makes this choice a lot harder. Definitely not the Signet. Narset is sort of interesting. An instant speed Narset can be a counter spell for a card draw spell, but I think I'm going to go with the Council's Judgment here. There's just a pretty good chance that that at that stage, like that'll be fairly late in the game, and they could have some pretty hard to deal with threats. So an instant speed Council Judgment is just very versatile, and like it adds best when we're behind. I think we are going to tie this. We could also just Teferi and bounce it, but I think we'd rather just tie than plus Teferi, and then Teferi whatever else they play after this. Alright, another land isn't great, so we pushed a bunch of spells at the bottom, and now we just keep drawing lands. But that's fine. This deck does like lands, and we're still making meaningful plays. Hopefully they play something that Teferi can interact with well. Emry, sure. I mean, it does... Oh, that's funny. That's definitely a Nombo there. Jeez. We are going to bounce this, even though it doesn't do anything right now. Like, we want to draw a card, and, like, it can attack Teferi. Oh, swag. Okay, so... That doesn't do anything right now, but it's just a great draw, especially when you have Teferi and you can do it at instant speed. So hopefully they slam some scary 5-drop here. Okay, that's not really what we wanted to see, but it's fine. Ooh, Through the Breach. Oh, wow. So here's the dream. They play Through the Breach or Sneak Attack. Put into play, it doesn't work on Emrakul, but like Ulamog. We instant speed Fracture Identity it, and then get one that sticks around, and they don't get their attack. That would be amazing. So, in general, brainstorming on your own turn is good, but here I think we do just want to hold up the instant speed Fracture Identity. So we'll do that, and then if they don't do anything, we'll probably still just untap. I don't think brainstorming in a turn accomplishes a whole lot. Consecrated Sphinx. Mindslaver. Okay. We'll definitely just take their Mindslaver. I mean, this is a combo, the Emry and Mindslaver, so we definitely exiling this is going to be pretty nice. We don't know if they'll have anything to really do, so we might actually want to wait on the Mindslaver for a bit, but I do think taking it right now makes sense. Like, yeah, I mean, there's a good chance that Mindslavering them just does nothing here. Ooh, that is an amazing draw. Oh, they just conceded. That's hilarious. In response, cracking Mindslaver. Alright, that's the power of Fracture Identity, and it's even better when you can play it at instant speed. So that makes me think that they probably did have something that Mindslaver would be very good against in their hand. So, good start. This could be a tough matchup, though. Although, actually, it definitely could be a tough matchup because we don't have good combo stuff, but we do have Containment Priest, which could be very, very good here. I don't think we want anything else. Relic is good against Emry and maybe other things. What do we cut? So their deck seems sort of all over the place. They have artifact stuff, and then Zealous Conscripts are probably twin, and also Through the Breach. It's a lot going on. We could maybe cut some of these sweepers. Let's see. I mean, Sun Titan is an option, especially since like we're using this relic and it's not good with Containment Priest. Although I guess most of the stuff we're getting back isn't creatures. And then we could also cut Wrath of God. I do like cutting Wrath of God a bit more than cutting Terminus, because Terminus has just some solid synergies, and also we could instant speed it potentially. Like if we, brainstorm with Jay, set it up, we can use Terminus on their turn to break up a combo, and I do think instant speed interaction will be pretty huge here. So I think I like just cutting the Wrath of God, and then we'll see. If they're a heavier creature than we think they are, we definitely might bring this back in. But we'll go with this. Well, we have a ton of really expensive stuff, which is not great. We do have a Brainstorm and a Terminus, which is a nice combo, but I think we should mulligan. Like, there's a world where we like draw Shelldock and like can put an Elspeth under it and clear our top cards and all this good stuff. But there's also a world where we just don't draw any lands and get killed. And I think this deck is good enough that we can mulligan there. We'll keep and pitch this Sun Titan, and then turn 3 Gideon, and then if we find a blue source, turn 4 Fracture Identity is pretty good. Okay, that's a sweet draw. That'll make our Gideon even harder to kill, pressure Planeswalkers, and oh, they just F6 through the turn. That's tough. Planes was not really what we wanted there, but I mean, we're going to play Gideon and they F6 through their turn, so I still feel pretty good about our situation here. Yeah, obviously, do hope we draw a blue source sometime soon. Okay, that's scary. I mean, they could definitely play some big stuff with that. Playing, oh, that would be so. Imagine they just go Mindslaver, we find our blue source and Fractured Identity, and they just concede instantly. Definitely a way this could go. And an option, if we are really scared about the Mindslaver, would be to just crack the Clue, play and crack Relic, and just draw 2 cards to really increase our chance of having Fractured Identity next turn. But I think just getting the Gideon down is more important. Like, now we have a good clock on them. Like, we can hit them for 8. We can kill them in almost 2 turns. And we still might find the blue source. And also, like, I mean, we have not seen that much of their deck, so we really don't know what they have. Consecrated Sphinx would probably be the worst thing in the case where we don't draw a blue land, just because that is good against our, like, Clue and Relic, but Cannot do that. I guess they could just Through the Breach us. But we're actually reasonably well set up against Through the Breach. Like, even if they put Emrakul into play, we can just sack, like, Clue, both creatures, Signet. I guess it would put us back a decent amount, but we would still have Gideon. Oh, Battlesphere? Sure. Actually, that's good. That's definitely good, because they can kill our Gideon now. They can just tap 4 things to shoot the Gideon for 4, and even if we block, it dies. But, like, they spent 2 cards on this, and they get a bunch of 1/1s that just really don't match up well against our 2 blockers. So, this seems fine. Obviously not blocking, because this is doing no damage now. The damage has been done. Alright, that's not exactly what we wanted to see. We'll crack the Clue. Nice, that is what we wanted to see. Island, Relic, and do we attack for 2? I think we are going to attack for 2. If they attack back for 1, like, we're trading 2 for 3, or for 3. We're trading 2 damage for 3 damage, but we're also taking a 1/1 off the board, so I think that's a worthwhile trade. And then if they use a removal spell on the Thraben Inspector, then that's basically the same as a concession. So the question is if we want to crack this Relic end of turn, or keep it around. It depends on what they do, but if they play something we want a Fractured Identity, we'll keep it around. But if they don't, I think we are just going to crack it, because we would love to be able to get a Jace down here. Technically, you're supposed to tap this to make them exile a card, and then with that exile on the stack, pop it. So then if, like, they somehow do something in the middle, they still get their card exiled, but I can't really imagine that mattering here. Ooh, okay. Well, actually, yeah, that was a bad play. Why would they do that? Now they just lost their Ancient Grudge. That was definitely not a good play on our opponent's part. Okay, so we will Brainstorm here and start winning with Jace. Feels good. I mean, we could plus in case they have a removal spell, but I think I like just getting the guaranteed card. Like, they could also just, like, oh, okay. So, how likely is it that we want to Terminus next turn? I think it could happen. We're going to put back Snapcaster and then Terminus. Draw Terminus and then probably not use it. Probably just Brainstorm and put Terminus back on top again. Actually, sorry, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to put back Terminus on the bottom and then Snapcaster and draw Snapcaster. And this means we can Terminus on their turn if we want to. Yeah, I can't really imagine a world where we desperately need to Terminus on our turn. And just, yeah, hitting them with the end of turn Terminus is very good. So now, in case anyone's not familiar, Brainstorm is an instant. We can draw 3 cards, and Terminus will be the top card. And even though it's a sorcery, Miracle lets you cast it, like, no matter what. So we can just play Brainstorm, and the first card we draw on their turn will be the Terminus. So we can do that. So we're basically just going to keep Brainstorming and just keep putting Terminus on top, and just have that as an option every single turn. And I think it'll be pretty hard to lose if we're doing that. So we'll put back Council's Judgment, Terminus, play Island, and just pass. And we'll just keep on Brainstorming. I mean, again, they could just play some massive thing here. We don't have Counter Magic up. They should untap the Grim Monolith here. Okay, that was a misplay. If they'd done that, then the Basalt Monolith would be tapped, which is just strictly better because it's cheaper to untap. So they might know about the Terminus because of Moto stuff, but whatever. We'll just keep Brainstorming, and if we just keep you can't beat Jace Brainstorming every turn if you're just passing. So the onus is on them to do anything. We will not cast a single spell until we need to, pretty much here. I mean, I guess if we draw another Planeswalker, we would, but in general, like, we're very content just to play Drago. They could have an Eldrazi, but we have an answer even to Emrakul. We could just Terminus it. And anything else we could Fracture Identity, so I feel pretty okay about that. Pretty sweet to have an answer, like an instant speed answer to Emrakul to Aeon's Torn. Like a Karn could hit our Jace, but then we just Fracture Identity it and we get their Karn. They're tapping a lot of mana though. We'll see what this is. Ulamog, sure. Seems like a good thing to Fracture Identity. I doubt that this this Daze will do too much, but that's fine. So we don't have instant speed Terminus anymore, but we can always still just like brainstorm and put it on top and then have a Terminus for 1 mana on our turn. Fractured Identity. We don't get the cast trigger, unfortunately, but we do get an Ulamog that's indestructible. I mean, if they bounce it, that's annoying. Like, obviously, it's a token, so we will not actually get it back. But if they don't bounce it, then we just have a huge dude. I mean, they can sack 4 Mirror, so it's not like the Annihilator 4 trigger is just game ending, but still like our position pretty well. Ooh. That's very good. And unfortunately, we can't Daze it. Yeah, that's good. So they take our Ulamog and attack us for 17. We sack 4 things, which are both of our creatures and then 2 lands. I mean, this will resolve. That is bad, though, for sure. In fact, we might actually just sack an extra land and chump block to preserve our life total. I think that's worth it. Oh, they're just attacking with that? That's good for us. Never mind, then. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So this happens. We take 10, but then we get it back, and we can Council Judgment this. And then, like, we want to get rid of this because they could just combo us, and we don't have a way to interact with that at instant speed, unfortunately. So we'll do this, get rid of their Zealous, hit them for 10. They'll sack probably 4 Mirror, maybe one of these tapped artifacts. Okay, so, I mean, they have 5 mana. Nowadays is actually maybe reasonable again, and we just have this Ulamog here, so I think we'll win. This match has really showcased the power of Fractured Identity. Like, if this was a Mox, who knows, like, maybe we could have played something a little faster and that would have helped, but I really just think Fractured Identity was, like, such an all-star that match. So, pretty sweet match. It's always good to beat someone that has 666 in their name. Although, my high school, the mascot was the Blue Devils, and I was senior class president, and at the pep rally, a bunch of people drew 666 on their arm, which was a little bit, I mean, it's fine. Like, I don't think it's actually, it's just sort of funny. High school, what a time. Also, just, yeah, the culture was just so different then. There's so many things that people did then. My friend group was always pretty PC. Like, Northampton, where I grew up, or at least where I went to high school, was super, super, like, lefty, and like, there was, yeah, people were pretty woke for a while then, but just in general, the things that people did then were, a lot of stuff would not fly now. All right, great hand. Really a lot of cheap interaction and some mana ramp. No, like, top end or real card advantage stuff, but that's fine. Like, I'd rather have the cheap interaction and then draw into the big stuff than start with the big stuff and not have the cheap interaction when it's at its best. We don't have any shuffle effects really, so we'll ideally hold off on this brainstorm for a while. But there's a chance if we're not playing a creature deck that it'll be really good to get rid of these 2. And we'll lead on swords in case they play like a Llanowar Elves or something. I do think we would want to just swords that and slow them down a bit. We could go the real pro play of Winds of Abandon their Llanowar Elves, but that's actually not a pro play. The best draw here would be Jace. If we just go turn 1 swords, turn 2 Signet, turn 3 Jace, that would be pretty busted. I realize this is like a little bit maybe annoying to some people, but I was thinking I would love to sort of meet some of y'all, some of the viewers of this match or these videos, and so if you introduce this an honor system thing, but if you introduce one of your friends to my videos and comment that you did this and like that you are interested, at the end of each video, I'm gonna pick one like randomly pick one person who comments and says that they introduced one of their friends, and we can play League together. We can go on Discord or Zoom or whatever platform works for you and navigate a league together and sort of talk through decisions. I mean, you can already sort of see my decision process in a lot of these things, but I do think when you can ask questions in real time, that's like a really sweet way to do that. And then also, I am. Oh, sorry, I was too busy talking about that. I should have led on Narset. Just to play around days. I doubt it'll matter. And I guess there's a world where they just counter the first spell. But sorry, I was yeah. Don't want to decrease my. Oh, if we get dazed here, okay, Mana Leak would have got us either way. But yeah, so I'm open to coaching. So if anyone is interested in like playing some leagues and sort of getting like a one-on-one lesson on how to do stuff, definitely let me know. I'm totally down to do that, like any weekday especially. And then yeah, if people comment that they are interested in doing this and introduce a friend to the video, then I'll randomly pick one person to do that with for free. So definitely do that if anyone's interested. I this has been really, really fun for me, and seems like a lot of people have got a lot out of it. So I like the idea of sort of growing it as much as possible and sort of putting my content out there so that a lot of people can see it and learn from it. And I mean, who knows, maybe if everyone learns all my secrets, my win rate will go down, but that's a trade I'm willing to make for the betterment of the community. All right, that's not too much of a problem. I mean, we don't have anything that we were really relying on that for, so we are going to just crack this clue main phase in case we draw something we want to play, leaving up like blue and white just to keep our options open. Definitely not going to brainstorm here. Again, we're just going to keep on waiting as long as we can. It is a blue-white mirror, so these removal spells might not be great. I wish we could win our own creature because we could brainstorm and put some bad stuff back, then ramp and shuffle, but let's see. Glenn, okay, that is perfect. That is a very, very good thing to swords here. I mean, we could also just untap and wins because it's sorcery speed, but oh. Well, that doesn't do anything right now. I actually am going to brainstorm now just because we have a lot of planeswalkers we could draw that would be very good here when we have a window to resolve them. Sweet. Perfect. Perfect example of that. So I think we're going to put back Sun Titan, Shelldock Isle, play Island Gideon. Next turn, draw the Shelldock, and then we can play the Shelldock and put a Sun Titan under that and Fractured Identity. So really good couple turns lined up. So Sun Titan, Shelldock, Island, Gideon, and yeah, that was just a really powerful string of events for us. Trade 1 mana for their whole turn 4, untap, set up a great turn, resolve a Planeswalker, set up another great turn. I think it will be very hard for them to come back from this. I also don't love their choice to hit our Signet there. Like, it's a fine exchange, but like this match is going long. Like in general, I think you want to save your flexible answers for our bigger threats. We'll definitely take Sun Titan here. Gideon is good, and so is Council Judgment, but we have a Narset, so we have an amazing hit with it. So very, very happy about putting that under the Shelldock. And I think we are going to plus here. We could 0 again, but they could just go land Colonnade and kill our Gideon, and that's not great. I mean, now they could just path our Gideon or something, which is also not great, but at least they have to use a card on it. And it just, like, puts a good clock on them. Oh, Resto? Alright, that's pretty good. So they'll probably eat our token, and then we'll Fractured Identity the Resto and bounce our Thraben Inspector. It's not, like, the best use of... Okay, I mean, that's a good string of things for them. It's not the best use ever of Fractured Identity, but I do think it's worth it to use our mana here. And it also, like, we could imagine wanting to save Fractured Identity for a Planeswalker, but if we get their Restoration Angel, we have a decent board to pressure Planeswalkers already. And in this case where they don't have, like, a great thing to Fractured Identity, it's just nice to use our mana and, like, sort of develop our board. Okay, so they'll draw 2 cards off of that, but then we can Winds of Abandon that, so not too bad. I mean, it's definitely a good exchange. They get a land and 2 cards, but we could go with the pro move and crack our clue before Winds of Abandoning, but upon further consideration, that doesn't seem like the best line. This Colonnade could be annoying. This is definitely a situation where we sort of wish we had the Field of Ruin, and like giving them a mana makes it better, but I think if that's like their main plan, that's not going to do it. Alright. Floating a bit here, but it's fine. That's the problem with we Shelldocked a bunch of spells to the bottom, so our threat density is lighter than normal. But we do have the Sun Titan that's about to come in and get the Narset back. Okay, unfortunately they have Colonnade up, so we cannot attack. But Ludrow Core is not the most threatening thing. Alright. There's not really any reason not to play lands. I mean, there's a slim chance they're playing Armageddon, but they're playing lands every turn, and they have a Colonnade, and, like, they just really don't seem like an Armageddon deck. Like, they seem like a blue-white deck that wants a bunch of mana. So, yeah, I think it's just worth it to keep playing lands, to play around, like, Mana Leak, Miscalc, Mystic Confluence. Like, there's a lot of counter spells that tax your mana, so you can basically never have enough. Plus, just, like, bluffing stuff is nice. I mean, playing the last card out of our hand removes the bluff opportunity, but, like, it's sort of nice to be able to play, like, some card plus holding up 2 blue mana. Okay, that's pretty good. I wish we had a way to kill our Resto in response. This is a token, so they don't get it back, which is nice. Another perk of Fractured Identity over Treachery, but they do just kill our thing and draw 2 cards, so that's definitely good for them. We were way ahead, but we've just drawn mono land since then, so we're definitely behind now, but we're not way behind, and I think this Shelldock will potentially... Oh, wait, so, yeah, I think we're just going to Shelldock here end of turn, actually. Yeah, we'll definitely be doing that. Get that... Oh! Stupid. Dang it. So, I definitely should... Well, I could have Narsetted in response there, and then they would have to just discard a card, which would be nice, but that's not great against counter magic. Bribery. What is that going to get? So we have our Sun Titan, luckily. We only have 4 creatures in our deck. They could get a Snapcaster, but that doesn't do much. I mean, I guess they could Swords Thraben Inspector. Or they could get... Let's see, what was our last creature? Thraben Inspector, Snap... Oh, Spellseeker. They'll probably get Spellseeker. Yeah, it's close between the... Like, I forgot about this. I actually didn't really realize they already were down so low on cards in their deck. The Mystic Confluence accelerated our Shelldock a lot. So I'm not going to pretend this was like a well thought out thing. Oh, please play Ancestral now. Please just main phase this. Yes. That worked out so well. Wow. Okay, if they have a counterspell, this is bad. But with this mana, I can't think of any counterspells they could have other than Force of Will. This is just so good. Instant speed Sun Titan. Get back your Narset. Counter your Ancestral. Untap. Minus Narset to do something. And then, like, I mean, I guess we can't bring back anything else with Sun Titan, unfortunately. But that's just so good. We will choose to do this. And have fun not drawing 3 cards in your Ancestral. I'm sorry. Jens von Watchmut. That was pretty broken, though. Alright, what do they have? Hopefully they don't have a Fractured Identity of their own. Alright, nice. So we'll see what we hit with this Narset. Drew another land, but I don't even care. Alright, I think we will... actually, no. We'll definitely just take Teferi, and then bounce our own Spellseeker and use it to go draw something. They can kill our Teferi now, which is a bit annoying. Like, and we can't interact because Ludrow Core is pretty solid. Both of our removal spells that hit it are gone, so we cannot Spellseeker for anything that works. That's fine. We're probably just getting Impulse here. Yeah, definitely Impulse. Alright, so nothing to get back, unfortunately, but we'll hit them for 7. They don't have enough mana to animate Colonnade of the Black Lotus, although even if they did, I think we're fine trading Thraben Inspector for Black Lotus. Their deck is sweet. I mean, Black Lotus, Ancestral, Bribery, Swords of Plowshares, like every single card they've played is like amazing. And is, I guess, maybe other than Ludrow Core, every single card they've played is in the perfect blue-white deck. Oh man. I'm sorry, dude. Are we really going to get a Daze here? Oh, no, we're not going to get a Daze. Actually, that's pretty good. That's quite good. Now they can kill both of our Planeswalkers, but they are at 8, and we have 8 power on board, so they're definitely under a lot of pressure here. There's nothing we can get with the Impulse that would make us want to do this, like, not on their end step. I mean, I guess Mana Tithe, if they have something that... And they have 2 mana left over, so maybe that will happen, but probably just end of turn impulsing. I would love to shuffle our deck. We still have some gas at the bottom of our library. Well, this Narset was still pretty sick. Just think, okay, so we were thinking about Karakas versus Shelldock. This Shelldock countered an Ancestral, put a Sun Titan into play, put a Narset in play, which found the Teferi. Teferi got this, which drew a card. So because of this one Shelldock, we have both of these Planeswalkers, Impulse, our own Spellseeker. We removed their Spellseeker. We have a Sun Titan, and we soaked up 3 damage. So, like, that just, it's not always that good, but, like, this Shelldock just did so much work for us. I mean, we still could lose. Like, if they have an answer to the Sun Titan. Oh, wait. Yeah, if they don't have an answer to the Sun Titan, we can just attack with this and get back either one of these again. So that is, that's pretty sweet. Worst case scenario, though, they remove our Sun Titan. We still are very likely to hit something relevant with Impulse, and we're under no pressure, so I think even in the worst case scenario, we're still fine. I guess if they fracture Identity or Sun Titan, get their own Sun Titan, like rebuy Black Lotus or something, and then we just like brick on the Impulse, that's pretty bad. And unfortunately, we cannot daze the Fractured Identity, although we would definitely Impulse in response, looking for the Tithe. Oh, wait, sorry. I was talking about how we hadn't shuffled our library, but we did. We shuffled the Spellseeker, so all of our gas is in our deck now. And we have 8, 9, 10 lands, so 7 lands left out of 14. That's pretty proportional. So let's draw a normal amount of lands going forward. Unfortunately, no instant speed Narset shenanigans to mess with that Sensei's Top. Okay, that resolves. We can't do anything about that. That's fine. I mean, again, if we can just untap a Sun Titan and get our attack in, we don't even care about the damage. Like, just getting back one of these Planeswalkers will be super good. Okay. Easiest pick ever there. Obviously, we don't need another land, and Elspeth is quite good. Alright, so we're just going to attack with only Sun Titan, and I think I like getting back Narset over Teferi here. Actually, no. I think we are going to get back Teferi because we don't want them to have the Shark. So, getting rid of the Shark is pretty nice, and we can just hopefully get back Narset next turn. Plus, it means we can definitely resolve our Elspeth. I sort of doubt they have a counterspell, but they could, and now that turns that avenue off for them. So they go to 2. They still do have the Colonnade, which is a flyer, but they have to spend a lot of mana on that, luckily. So we'll kill the Shark, draw a card. There's our Tithe. Jam our Elspeth. We could minus to kill our Sun Titan, but I think that's probably not the correct line here, so we'll just be plussing. And yeah, this is a pretty dominant position. We have a healthy life total, so we're not worried about any sort of random stuff. They're very low, so they need to worry about that, but we're also pressuring them in multiple ways. If they had a second Sensei's Divining Top, that would be pretty sweet, because they could just tap top to draw their other top and put the one top back and just keep on doing that, and it's just 1 mana for a Monk and a Prowess trigger. So they could sort of storm off and make some huge dudes, but luckily we're playing a singleton format, so they cannot do that. I guess if they had Phyrexian Metamorph, they could set that combo up, but that's a lot less scary because they have to pay either 4 mana for it or 3 mana and 2 life, which they cannot pay 2 life. I mean, you can. Sort of funny how in Magic you're not allowed to pay life if it would take you to negative, but you can pay life down to 0. So, like, if you have a Griselbrand and you have 7 life, you can kill yourself, but you cannot if you have 6 life. Which actually can matter sometimes if you ever have a situation where, like, I was watching, I think, Andrea Mengucci video, really sweet legacy video producer on Channel Fireball, if you're not familiar with him, and he gained control of his opponent's turn, and they had, like, a Bitter Blossom and, like, some stuff that made him, oh, and a Sylvan Library, so they had ways to pay life, but then, unfortunately, the Bitter Blossom made it so that they were at 7 instead of 8, and he could not kill him that way, although he did win that game in this particular video. Oh, another exciting announcement. I've been talking to Channel Fireball, speaking of, and I believe some of my videos are going to be featured on their website. So I'm really excited about that. Oh, 2 things. First of all, Teferi shuts this down, so they cannot cast Ancestral. But secondly, we are just obviously going to use these 2 counter spells. It's a 2-for-1, but that is the least of our concerns here. These cards were basically dead, and now they can trade with the big dude. But yeah, so I've been talking with the editor at Channel Fireball, and I think some of my videos will be posted on their site soon. So really excited about that. I've been a big fan of Channel Fireball for a long time. I'm not sponsored. I just actually like them, and I'm speaking out of my actual position. So I'm very, very excited about that, and go check them out, both just for their other content, but also to see my videos there. I think that'll be really fun. All right, their deck was pretty sweet. I mean, they had their best cards are definitely better than our best cards. They had 3 pieces of power and we had none. But we had a lot of planeswalkers, and I do also think like they didn't make any like misplays really, but small edges can really make a big difference in control mirrors, and so maybe we outmaneuvered at a couple points. Not really sure. Although again, like I think Jens von Watchmut played well, and we just had a couple answers that lined up spectacularly well, specifically the Shelldock Sun Titan line. Oh, for some reason I thought that was game 2. That's game 1, but still feel decent about our chances here. Containment Priest doesn't do much. The sword package also doesn't do much. Brightling is maybe okay. It's just a threat that's very hard to deal with, but it's not good against Monastery Mentor. Fairgrounds Warden is not particularly impressive. I don't love all our creature removal, but they do have some things that it's good against. Like, we're definitely leaving swords in for Glenn. And yeah, no, we should probably leave the stuff in. We don't want to randomly lose to a Mentor. The one we could cut Wrath of God for either Brimaz or Brightling. That'd be reasonable. Brightling is very hard for them to deal with. Yeah, I think we actually are going to do this. Wrath of God is, like, we have a lot of other removal spells, and it's the worst by a decent amount, I think. Yeah, I think this is what we want to do. We'll see how this performs. I could imagine wanting to cut this, but I guess Sun Titan was amazing there, but it is bad against bribery, and, like, it's nice to minimize their bribery. I guess also Containment Priest is good against bribery, but bribery in general is not super impressive in this matchup because we have Jace and Teferi to bounce it and then just get our own thing back. And we also just have a decent number of answers with like Swords, Winds, Council's Judgment. So like, sure, they can get their Sun Titan, like get a land or something, but that's not too backbreaking. So we'll do this. And then if we draw Brightling, we'll note if we would rather that be Wrath of God. Basically, I think if they have a big Monastery Mentor and we don't have a Terminus and we don't have a Sword early on after the Mentor, we'll wish we had the Wrath, and otherwise we'll want the Brightling. Okay, great hand here. Winds of Abandon is nice out to Glenn if they play it without open mana. We have a turn 1 Thraben Inspector, which is like not essential, but it's nice. And Impulse. Yeah, just lots of good stuff. Snap is a great draw. We do want some lands, but we can Impulse for land and then Snap Impulse, and that'll be pretty sweet. Literal core here. Alright, nothing. But we are going to play an island. We could play Shelldock, but I think we have a lot of 2-mana things to do, and like we can't play a Brightling Lex turn right now, and even if we drew the planes, we wouldn't want to. We want to play this with white mana up. So we'll probably just crack the clue here. I mentioned this in my last video, but in general, when you have 2 things you want to do, and one involves a decision, and one just involves paying the mana, you want to pay the mana first. So, like, technically, like, what they play next turn and what we draw off the clue in our draw step could influence what we want to impulse for. So we'll just crack the clue first. Also, that's, it plays around them just, like, having repeal or something like that. Okay, we'll get this Teferi down. They could daze it, but that sets them back a bit, and yeah, they don't have it, so we'll bounce their Looter. That is a great draw. Yeah, this is really coming together pretty well here. And so now we'll almost definitely just go Shelldock, hold up Impulse. Although, like, if they play Glenn, we'll definitely just Winds of Abandon it. Ooh, okay. I don't love giving them a land, but I also don't love giving them a bunch of tokens. I think we are just gonna Winds of Abandon this. We have Fractured Identity for anything they like ramp into. So like if they have a Consecrated Sphinx, we can do that. In fact, if we think they have a Consecrated Sphinx, we could even do this on our turn so that they tap out for their 6-drop. But I think that's a little greedy. So, and like we don't really care about the damage, so we're just gonna make their land coming untapped. And again, to sorcery, but to fairies. Plus actually does do something. It's mostly played for the minus and the static, obviously, but sometimes Teferi plus is good. And I don't really feel any need to save this for when we can overload it. I mean, if they just play Glen here, that's annoying. If they go like Island Glen and they have up Fractured Identity, or they have up a blue for a Fractured Identity, it's like the one counterspell that you can still use when there's a Teferi in play. So hopefully they don't have that, but even if they do, like we're very ahead right now. And if they do that, we're definitely going to just impulse and really hope they counter it. Because obviously the Fractured Identity is more important than the impulse. Okay, no play. That's like a pretty clear sign that they have a shark. So we'll see how we can navigate around that. All right, we'll take the relic. Don't really... I mean, we do want another white source for the Brightling, but we're not like really rushing towards that. Alright, so we could play Jace and just get that into play. Or we could Fractured Identity, again at instant speed because of the Teferi, on their Shark, which we're like 99% sure they'll play. So I think I like using Fractured Identity. Again, we could save it for something better, but a flyer is annoying. I guess it's not annoying against the Jace minus. But I do think having a Teferi is good in this matchup. But I also do like having answers to sticky threats, and we will not do that if we... Okay, we're going to start with attacking with a Trabant Inspector. Our hope is that they use their Shark to kill this, and then we can just play Jace minus and get rid of it that way. Otherwise, I think we are just going to Fracture Identity. Like, this card is just so good in the blue-white mirror. Okay, they didn't go for it, unfortunately. Oh, man, this is close. So close. I guess having a 3-3 now is also pretty good. How do we lose? Like, if we just play Jace, and then they make a Shark and kill our Teferi and have a counterspell, that's super bad. And there's nothing we can do about that because, I mean, we have seen Manly. Yeah, I think we need to keep the Teferi around. Like, the way we lose is they make a Shark, kill our Teferi, and then have counter magic for our Fracture Identity. And then, like, yeah, we can kill our token with Jace, but, like, then, like, they'll just... Their deck is so much less scary at sorcery speed. So... no need to do this now. That was a very, very clear Shark Typhoon. Like, we knew they had a 2-mana play, and they could not cast a spell, so, like, what other use could they have for their mana? So we'll get a little 3-3 Shark of our own here. This card is so sweet when it's an instant. This is obviously not the best use of Fracture Identity, but I think that's fine. Yeah, just like when we have a Jason Teferi, protecting the Jason Teferi seems like a pretty winning plan. So they play Frost Titan. Okay. That's pretty good, actually, because we cannot Jace bounce it with a 2-mana ability. We can just kill our own Teferi to bounce it, which I don't love, but we might end up doing. Although, I guess Frost Titan isn't even that bad for us because we have 2 blockers. So yeah, I think we actually are just going to plus Teferi and play Jace and Brainstorm. Plus, then we can set up our Shelldock to hit something sweet with a Brainstorm. And if they have a removal spell, they can use it on one of them and then tap the other and kill one of our Planeswalkers. But then they just use removal spell on something bad. And we have another Planeswalker in play, which can deal with a Frost Titan. They both have the ability to do that. And we just have a lot of gas left over, so I think it's worth keeping the Teferi around. And also, in the case where they don't have a removal spell, then we just like, I mean, they tap the 3-man Inspector, we chump with a Shark, and that's fine. All right, awesome. So one of these cards we will not draw, and the other card we'll get with Shelldock. We're definitely going to get the Elspeth with Shelldock. Do we care about a land? I think we do. I think we're just going to put back Relic. We have a Snapcaster, so we don't really want to be cracking it, and we have lots of stuff to do with our mana, so we don't really need an inefficient cantrip. So we'll put those two back, get our Shelldock in there, and we have Swords also as another answer to the Frost Titan, so that's good. Take the Elspeth. I love how Brainstorm plays with Shelldock. Plus this guy, and then just pass and leave them both back. We could hit them for 3, but that does not accomplish too much. Their life total is high, then they have a guaranteed kill of one of our Planeswalkers. It'll be very telling which one they go for, because Jace is definitely a better card in general, but Teferi shuts down their counter magic, so if they choose to kill the Teferi, we know that they'll have counter magic, and we should play around that accordingly. Okay, that's good. They can bounce our Shark, and then attack, tap our Thraben Inspector, and kill one of these. Hopefully they kill our Jace, and then we can snap Fracture Identity their Jace. Alright, that's bad. So, they have a counterspell, pretty much guaranteed. I mean, we do get to untap with Jace, which is always a good position to be in. Ooh, okay, so lots of action here. We can bounce their Frost Titan and then have 5 mana left over. That seems bad, though. I think we would rather Swords their Frost Titan. That goes around Mana Leak. We pay 3. We actually do have perfect enough mana, so if they have Mana Leak, we're fine. And if they have a hard counterspell, we can play Swords to Plowshares, pay 3 extra. Oh no, we're 1 mana shy of being able to go Swords, or 2 mana extra. We're 1 mana shy of playing Swords, pay the 2, get it countered, snap, Swords, pay the 2. So that's a bummer. We could Narset, and then Elspeth with the Shelldock. But I think we're just going to Swords here first, and really hope this resolves. Actually, I guess, yeah, no, we will do this. And if this doesn't resolve, then we'll just Jace bounce it, I think. So we'll pay 2 blue, because our plan is to play Gideon if we can. Just plays around Mana Leak, which is the only counterspell we've seen so far. And then we are just going to jam Gideon into the Mana Leak. Like, they'll probably counter it, but Mana Leak is just going to be good against us already. So, alright, pretty sweet that that worked. Now we'll Brainstorm. Ooh, okay. Now I think I actually want to just play Narset and hold up Tithe. Tithe could be good. It's unlikely to be good here, but they could like hardcast Force of Negation. And that's close actually, but I do think that's what we're gonna go with. So we'll put back 1 Plains, and I guess we're gonna put the. So if the Narset resolves, we want to put a non-creature spell on top just to like have a hit. We'll put back Gideon. I think I'd rather them know about the Gideon than know about the Council Judgment. So we'll put back Gideon and then just draw it if Narset gets countered, and probably Narset into it if it doesn't. So if this resolves, it shuts down their Jace Brainstorm. But I'm anticipating it will get Mana Leaked. Yep, there's the Mana Leak, so that's fine. We have plenty more gas, so now we can next turn play Gideon plus Elspeth. And, I mean, they'll get 1 turn with a Jace to Brainstorm, which is annoying, but then our white Planeswalker should be able to dominate the board while we're still refilling our hand with Jace. That's why I love this color combination so much. White has so many good ways to interact with the board, and blue has so many good ways to draw cards and like keep that board presence coming. They have 9 mana. It's very unlikely that this Tithe does anything, but it is possible. Especially if they have an X-Spell. Okay, O-Ring on the Jace. That's a bit annoying, but not the end of the world. We do have Council Judgment for that if we want to. Although I think when we have so much gas already, we would rather no one have a Jace than both of us have a Jace. So that's something. We draw our Gideon, cast our Gideon. Actually, I guess we should just go to combat first. We could counter a Gearhulk, which would be pretty sweet. So hopefully we can line up that man league. I don't think they'll do that. I mean, they could actually just Gearhulk and try and do Ancestral, but alright. Hopefully they have the Gearhulk, but even if they don't, that's fine. So, yeah, I think it is just right to do this. I mean, we could go Snap Fracture Identity, but that's much worse against Counterspell. So we'll make a dude. And then it is fun to instant speed stuff that is not normally instant speed, but here we would definitely rather just get the Elspeth out there now and get 3 tokens. Nice. Alright. So we do that, and now we're in a pretty dominating position. Like, I'm not too afraid of that Jace. We also know one of their cards is a, oh, are they going to do it? Wow. Okay, yeah, that's pretty brutal. Tithe, putting in work, trading with a 5/6 and 3 cards for 1 mana in the same, like, yeah. I love it when you can do relevant ways to advance your board and Tithe in the same turn, and we certainly did that there. Put 5 power and 2 planeswalkers on the board. Cast 11 mana worth of spells. Okay, so there's a Consecrated Sphinx. We have a couple ways to deal with that. I think we're just going to Elspeth minus. Like, we could... I do want to keep our loyalty around ideally, but they still can't kill it with a looter, and yeah, that seems like the best line. So blow up that Sphinx, send 2 at the Jace and everything else at them. I can't really... I mean, I guess Dismember is the one thing they could have, so... And, like, we don't want to use our Snap on a Tithe. Oh. Interesting. Are they dismembering their own Sphinx? That is cool. But it's not really going to work out for them, because we'll let that happen, and then we'll just Snap Fracture Identity. No, this is so broken. So, cool play. Definitely a good play on our opponent's part. But it will not work out exactly how they hoped. I mean, I guess they could have... This plays around days. They could have one of the forces, but it looks like they're F6'd, so... Snap Fractured Identity. Pretty busted. We could take... I mean, obviously, Jace, Oblivion. There's tons of good targets for this, but I think this is where we want to be, especially since we have a good way to kill their Jace. I'm just going to plus here. The Emblem next turn is going to be very relevant. So there's that. They're tapped out now, so let's see. We'll send everything at them, then bring this back and send it to Jason. This cannot block because Shadow makes you unblockable, but it also means you can't block. And then next turn we have easy lethal with the Gideon Emblem. I guess they could kill our Gideon if they send Looter and Colonnade at it, but I mean, that's clearly not a winning line. We have a huge board of creatures, 2 planeswalkers, Consecrated Sphinx drawing cards, a catch-all removal spell, an unkillable lifelink threat if they somehow deal with all of this. And yeah. Let's see. Recording this on Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Alright, so 4-0. This deck is sweet. I like this deck a lot. Again, I mean, I wish we had a bit more counter magic, but Fractured Identity has just been, like, you can see how good it is. Pretty much every single game, I think every single game, literally, actually, it's just been super, super good. We can snap it back. We can play it at instant speed with Teferi. Like, it's great on its own, and our deck is really built to maximize it well. So, that's pretty sweet. I'm looking forward to it. Thanks. I really like you, Jen. I'm not going to try and say your whole name again because I've probably butchered it multiple times already, but you're a good opponent. You have good taste in decks and a sweet deck, so this one did go our way, but I wish only the best for you. Hopefully you can win your next round, and hopefully we can win our next round too. Go for that clean 6-0 for our 40th trophy. Always fun to get to a new multiple of 10. Man, 1 week and 3 days left until this glorious time is over. That is sad. Do definitely let me know in the comments though if there's something that you like, a format you want me to play. I've definitely played the most Pioneer lately, but I know a lot of people don't like Pioneer. I think some of the complaints about Pioneer are not justified. A lot of people just say like you can't do anything except play combo decks, and I haven't played in the last month or so, but a month ago I played a lot and I was the trophy leader with an amazing win rate, playing Blue Eye Control and like crushing Inverter. Breach was tough, but it was still winnable. Like people were always saying that like you had to play combo or you couldn't do it, and like they were just wrong. Like if you knew how to pilot the match well, Blue White could just absolutely crush Inverter, and like again that Breach was fine. Like against a bad opponent, we're very favored, and I mean maybe now all the Breach players are very good, but there's definitely some not amazing players back then. So I think Pioneer is not as bad of a format as people think it is if you know your way around the matchups. But I do still respect that a lot of people don't like it, and um, definitely happy to record Modern if that's what people want. I have never really played Standard, and I'm not a huge fan of it. But if a lot of people want it, I could try that. Definitely open to Modern for sure. And then Legacy I've played a bit with, and it's definitely fun, but I know nothing. So if your goal is to like get better, I don't think that's necessarily the best format for you to watch my videos in. Cube is my one true love, but I like a lot of other formats too. Ooh, okay. Definitely monetizing this. This is super, super good against us. Hard to interact with. We can't really take advantage of them paying life unless we get an early Gideon draw, and they pressured our Planeswalkers very well. Flies over the Elspeth tokens, just pretty much the perfect card against us. So we really want to draw a blue source for the Narset, and if we brainstorm here, it slightly increases our chances of having that, but there's also a chance it just accomplishes nothing, and like we could also draw Gideon. Like I think it's better just to get our Signet down, use our mana efficiently. Ashiok would be annoying here. Okay, Liliana is fine. The ultimate could be annoying, but we have a lot of like in general, Liliana is not at his best against decks that draw a lot of cards, and we can draw a lot of cards. So we'll pitch this wins here, I think. It's pretty bad against Liliana. Like if they can just discard lands and then like we're giving them lands with wins, that's not great. Island. Oh. Okay, so we are gonna main phase brainstorm, I think. Yeah, we are gonna do that. Hopefully hit something sweet. Okay, so this is close. We can't actually. Yeah, we can just fracture identity next turn, so that's cool. Narset is the worst card because it just won't be castable for a long time. But this is a weird situation where I think we want to. I think we just want to discard the Narset for the Lily. Um, so we'll put back. We need both of our lands. I think we want to have the Terminus on top, so we'll put Gideon Terminus, and then we have the option of Actually, no, we're like extremely likely to be playing Fracture Identity next turn, and even if we don't, we can play Gideon. So I think we're gonna put Terminus on the bottom and have that open the turn after. So we'll put back Terminus and then Fractured Identity to hide it from Thoughtseize. If they like, I guess that gets really killed by an Ashiok. But there's a lot more hand disruption cards than there are library disruption cards, and I sort of think they would have played Ashiok that turn instead of Lily, so I don't think they have it. So we're gonna do this and cry if they have Ashiok. But even if they do, like our white planeswalkers play to the board pretty well. So yeah, we'll do this. Alright, hopefully they Thoughtseize us. And then yeah, we'll almost definitely just be Fracture Identitying their Liliana. We just wanna I guess oh yeah, okay, rewarded. Gonti would have been another thing that punished us, so worth noting that, but there's definitely more stuff like this. I mean, Kitesail Freebooter, Mesmeric Fiend, Thoughtseize, Duress. There's lots of hand disruption in black, and so they could have a counterspell, which would be rough. But we've seen a lot of black cards so far. I sort of think that they're more of like a removal and discard deck than a counterspell deck. So hopefully this Fracture Identity off the top will be good, and then it's really awesome if we can just steal their Lily and immediately minus to kill their Mesmeric Fiend and get back whatever they take. They do take our Gideon. Alright, hopefully they don't have another creature. Okay, that's decent, but not too bad. So they're out of cards now. We'll pitch our Narset, which we're a long way away from doing anything with. And then, yeah, we should definitely just Fracture Identity this. We'll Edict, and then they can kill our Liliana, but that's fine. Liliana's not really looking great here because they have no cards in hand, so that's good. And so we'll do this and then draw, so we'll Edict. I actually don't know what they're going to sack here. I can see them going either way. Oh yeah, we're drawing Terminus now, so that is fine. I mean, we can deal with the Fiend. Although it is a bit awkward because we won't have enough mana to play Gideon, but I do think it's still worth it. Otherwise, we have no play, so they'll kill our Lily and then hopefully play a creature. But again, Fracture Identity, putting in work. We killed their Lily and their Bob, and soaked up a damage, which isn't super relevant, but does something. So we'll cast this Terminus. They didn't play their card, so there's a chance it's a Shinobi, but probably not. Yeah, no. Actually, no. It definitely could be a Shinobi. But that's a lot less scary now that they don't have creature on board, and we have a sweet hand. So pretty much, I mean, if we draw Brick, we can just play Gideon. If we draw any land that's other than Seachrome Coast, we can play Elspeth. And if we draw any spell, then we can still play Gideon and like also have another spell. So definitely a pretty great position for us here. Ooh, okay, so the worst case scenario by a lot is Mystic Confluence. If we could pay 3, I think we would play the Teferi, but since we can't either way, we are just going to jam the Gideon. Especially since they know about it, so just give them a bit less information. Alright, they just concede. Alright, so that's pretty sweet. Base black, blue-black control. Should be a pretty sweet matchup for us. Containment Priest could be good if they have Reanimator stuff. I think we didn't see anything that's Reanimatory, but that's just such a likely thing for them to have in their colors that I do think I want this card. None of this other stuff looks particularly impressive. What do we not want? They do have a decent number of creatures, so I think the sweepers look okay. I don't love Winds of Abandon against decks that are playing Liliana and trading 1-for-1 a lot, but we do want to have answers to Dark Confidant. That's pretty important. I guess we do already have Swords and Tithe and Daze, but that's definitely one of the most likely ways that they run away with it. Just a discard spell into Bob, and then we just can't deal with it. Notable that Bob does get around Narset. They don't draw the extra card in their upkeep. It just gets put into their hand. So, unfortunately, that does not work how we would want it to. Man, I really have no idea what to cut. We could just not play the Priest, but I do think I like it. It's even as value just as a flash blocker. Like we could ambush him as Merrick Fiend. It's good against Shinobi is another thing. And it just like can pressure Planeswalkers at the end of turn. I think I'm going to cut a land. I love lands. It's a crazy move for me to do, I know, but like they're going to be making us discard a lot of cards. Like against black decks, Flood in general, I don't mind getting mana flooded, but against black decks, it's worse. We are on the draw. We have like multiple cheap cantrips. This is a cheap card, so our average mana cost is decreasing here. So we're going to go to 16 lands, as aggressive as that is, and I think cut 1 island since we're bringing in a white card. Now we'll see. We could definitely draw this and get mana screwed, and that would suck, but alright. Plenty of lands, so that's good. At this point, Containment Priest is a better draw than a plane, or actually, second blue could be good, but I like this hand a lot. Having 2 great answers, including an answer to a turn 1 Bob, is a very valuable thing. Terminus is not looking great in the opener, but we have a couple ways to put it back, and I mean, we could discard it to a Liliana if they have that, and we could also just get to 6 mana, so I'm not too worried about that. Okay, that was a little bit bad. Like, we have a lot of creature removal already, but not the end of the world. Again, the floor on cards is much higher against black decks because they often have things that you can just pitch to their whatever. All right, got our second blue source. That's good. So we're gonna impulse, hoping to hit a planeswalker. Teferi or Narset would be the best things to get, although like a Gideon would also be good, specifically 4-mana Gideon, but I guess either. Hymn to Torok, Bitter Blossom. Okay, so we'll just Council Judgment that. That means we don't have an answer to a Planeswalker, which is slightly sad, but it's not the end of the world. Ooh. Wow, that is some absolute gas right there. As good as honestly all of these cards are, it's between Fractured Identity and Teferi. Because Teferi we could bounce the Bitter Blossom and then just have Teferi in play, which would be pretty sweet, and Fractured Identity is just Fractured Identity. That's super close. I think I'm going to go with the Teferi because it gives us value immediately. And, like, they can easily just play a Thoughtseize and take away our Fractured Identity, but Teferi will give us amazing value immediately. Tempo play, draw a card, shut down any potential counter magic they have, and just, like, I think that's going to be worth it. But I do want to find a shuffle effect as fast as possible because Fractured Identity would be one of our best cards to draw. Pretty marginal here, but we are going to play Plains in case we draw Shelldock Isle and want to play Council Judgment next turn. Man, brutal to put all those on the bottom. I would have loved to just draw them all in order instead of impulsing them all away, except for one. Okay. We don't have a great play lined up for next turn, or proactive play at least, but getting on 5 will be nice, and we can just Council Judgment, whatever they do here. We'll see if they go Bitter Blossom again, or if they play Lily or something. Okay, there's a Bitter Blossom again. We're just going to play another Plane so we can Council Judgment and hold up Swords. There's no triple blue, so like if we draw a double blue card, we can just play our island, and that's fine. If we drew like a Gideon, I think we would play that over killing this Bitter Blossom, 4-mana Gideon, because like double Gideon can sort of pressure them and take advantage of their fact that they're paying life. But against anything else, I think we'll just Council Judgment. Yep. All right. So boom, boom, boom. Council Judgment. And definitely a situation where we do not want to make use of Teferi's Plus because okay, wow, they just conceded. So that was just such smooth sailing. There wasn't really any game that felt close at all. This deck was amazing. Played so smoothly. 6-0. Fractured Identity was an all-star. Teferi was an all-star. Mana Tide put in work actually, including late in the game, which is sort of fun. So really awesome deck. Yeah, that was sweet. So yeah, thanks for joining everyone. We have a good track record with blue-white decks that are recorded for sure, and I don't think that's a coincidence. Thanks for joining, and again, comment if you want me to, comment what format you want me to do after Vintage Cube ends. I'll keep doing these for sure as long as I can, just because I love it, but there's more to Magic than Vintage Cube, even though this is the best part of Magic, and also, if you're interested in playing a league with me, either with you as the main pilot and me sort of looking over your shoulder and giving commentary, or as me the main pilot, but where we can sort of be discussing stuff and asking questions in real time. And we can also play on your account if you want to, just to get that trophy for you. Just introduce one of your friends to my channel and comment that you've done that, and I'd love to meet some of you. So thanks for joining, everyone, and hope you have a great Saturday. Actually, this will be posted on Monday, so have a not too bad Monday, and I hope everyone just has good days in general.